All right, shalom, shalom. I'm going to start off this video by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone that rule where they teach well while learning the truth 100% according to the Bible. I also want to say shalom to the elect, the 144,000 men, prophets, servants scattered abroad the four corners of the earth, and shalom to the Akwaf, which are you sisters that are sincere in your children. Shalom. And in today's video is going to be another video touching on the MOTB C-HIP. Here it is. You basically got this Eve basically talking about, how she had I guess a video came to her phone. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you other brothers and sisters seen it, where you seen this Jake, so-called black man that had this Neuralink implant inside of his head. So, basically everybody is getting conditioned to, receiving brain chips and microchips and things of that nature. And we know ultimately this is for the agenda that Esau is coming with. Well, ultimately, how by Shem Yahushua's agenda, which is the bring forth prophecy, which is going into that MOTB C-HIP, man, that charagma. So, that's what everything is ultimately leading up into coming, and you basically hear her touching on that in this video. So we're going to basically watch this video, hear what it is that she has to say pertaining to the situation. And then I'm going to get a few precepts and, Lord's willing to be edifying, But before I start this video, I'm going to say fair use under the 1976 Copyright Act. I'm not getting paid for this video. This is only for educational purposes only.
Of the beast is finally here, and they are advertising it on my For You page. I just came across the video of a man that just got the Neuralink chip planted right next to his brain 5 days ago. He's on there talking about he's not the only one that got.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you brothers and sisters probably seen that video of the guy too. Yeah, he basically, did receive a chip in his brain, man. And, he's saying that he's able to, maneuver and do all types of different types of things with the chip. He's able to control his phone with his eyes. It's just a whole bunch of buggery, man. But, we know ultimately that this thing that's how it's going to be decorated, because that's ultimately how they're going to implement it in. They're going to make people believe that it's something that they want, or it's something that you can't live without. They're going to make people think that it's something that you really want to, put inside of you. They're going to make it, seem as though it's the best thing in the world, man. That's how Esau Edom is going to wrap this thing up, man. And that's why so many people are ultimately going to take it, because they're going to believe that, it's the best new thing, just like everything else that comes out, like a new app or a new food, and people be all over it. That's how the chip going to be when they come out, man. Everybody going to be over it, thinking it's the new thing. And, oh, you better get your chip and all of that, And they just don't know that was the whole reason of that, man. Once you take that chip, you ultimately make yourself an enemy against Yahweh by Shem Yahushua, man. Once you receive that charagma, and you're going to be destroyed. That's going to be the judgment for people that take that chip, man. They're going to taste the missile, or a laser beam from a chariot. But you will be destroyed if you take that MOTB, man. Right? And I'm going to go to a precept real quick before I get back into the video. But this is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 1. And it says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved, right? And this is verse 2. It said, and the Lord, Yahweh, answered me and said, write the vision, right? The vision is going into the prophecies, which MOTB C-HIP is a part of prophecy. It's a main prophecy that's going to happen during the time before the Lord makes his second return. And it said, make it plain upon tables, right? And that's what the men of the Lord are doing, the prophets. We're making these visions, which are the prophecies, plain upon tables. We're exposing them, telling people what they are and when they're to come. And we don't know the exact date they're coming, of course, but we're telling you that they're coming soon, because we see everything in the world is lining up for these events to manifest, right? So it said, make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. And the only people that are going to run when they hear this truth and ultimately apply it and, go with it are the Lord's elect, because it's only for them at the end of the day. Everybody else is blinded, right? So this is verse 3. It said, for the vision, right, is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak. That's talking about that C-HIP, man. World War III, all of these main prophecies that the Lord said will happen in the last days, they're going to come to pass, man. And we see all of them getting ready to happen now. Everything is being set up for these events to take place, in the world. And it says, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. So it's going to happen, man. And we see these things happening quick, soon, So I'm going to go to this precept as well, just touching on the MOTB C-HIP. This is Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 in the KJV. And it says, and he causeth all. So this is going to come upon the whole world, man. This ain't just going to come upon America. It ain't just going to be in China. No, it's going to come upon the entire world, man. That's why it's called an hour of temptation. You know, it said, and he causeth all, right, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, right? And I'm going to go into that word mark real quick in the Strong's definition. Bear with me. But when you go into that word mark, and I'm going to look it up in the Greek, it goes into the charagma, right? And the definition of that charagma goes into a stamp or a sign or an properly engraving or an etching, right? And when you go into engraving, you're basically going to be getting something implanted inside of your body, man. And that's what, she just said from the video. The guy received a chip in his head. That's what the Lord said. They're either going to take it in their right hand or in their foreheads. And you can even put it in your left hand as well, because it's really just going into your power hand, whichever hand you write with or whichever hand, you do things with the most. That's what hand you're going to put this chip in. So that's what it means. You're going to basically get it engraved or stamped inside of your body, right? And this is the reason why people is going to take that chip. Verse 17. And it says, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So basically with these, this digital society that they ultimately got coming on the horizon, the only way you're going to basically be able to function in it, you're going to have that C-HIP, man. And that's why a lot of people is going to take it. Because like I said, people don't want to let go of the world. They love this place, America, and things of that nature, all the stuff that's in it, and stuff like that. But, soon to come, we know that judgment is going to come forth for people that do take that mark, man. And it's going to be ugly for them. That's why the Lord tells us to not love the world. Because if you got attachments and cares and things of that nature for this world, then when that chip is made mandatory, you're going to take it. Because you're not going to want to let go of the things that are in this place, man. You're going to miss it. You're going to have, screens attached to it. You're going to still want to live your life and all of that different type of stuff. So that's why a lot of people are going to take this chip, man, And I'm going to go to that precept, 1 John 2:15, just touching on the importance of not loving this world, man. Because if you still have a lot of attachments to this system, when they crash this one that we're currently up under and bring that new one, people going to have no choice but to conform to it, because they're going to still miss and, love the things of the world. That's why the Lord said to not love this world, right? This is 1 John 2:15. KJV, it says, love not the world, right? Meaning this place, America, Babylon the Great. Neither the things that are in the world, right? That's talking about the material things, the possessions, all of these things that people in this country seek after, being rich, being famous, all of that bullshit, right? It said, if any man love the world, right, the love of the Father is not in him. So if the love of the Father is not in you, then guess what? When this chip comes out, guess what? A lot of people going to take it, because they're going to have the love of the world in them. And that's going to make them take this chip, man, right? Verse 16, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world, right? Verse 17, this is the point. And the world passed away and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of Yahweh by Shem Yahushua abideth forever. So really, only people that are not going to take that chip are the Lord's elect, man. Everybody else that are not of that number, they're going to take it. And they're going to pass away right along with this current eon, or this world that's currently in rulership now, meaning Esau Edom, the so-called white man. When he goes down, when the Lord allows those nukes to get shot over here during this Third World War, whoever else is, basically involved with him or take his mark and worship him and things of that nature, they're going to go right along with him. They're going to perish when those nukes hit, And that's what the Lord said is going to be the judgment for people that take that charagma, right? And I'm going to go into that precept just touching that, right? This is Revelation chapter 14, verse 9. And it says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast, right, and his image, and receive his mark, going into that C-HIP, and his forehead or in his hand, right, verse 10, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, right? Indignation going into the righteous anger of the Lord, right? And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone, right? That's talking about the laser beams of the chariots. And also those nuclear missiles that's going to come over here and destroy this place in 1 hour, as it tells us in Revelations 18 and 10. It says, and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels, right? And in the presence of the Lamb, meaning our Lord Yahushua. So, that's basically going to be the penalty for people that receive this mark, man. You're going to be judged extremely, like, it ain't even, words you could put it to, or think about or imagine that could possibly think of, the judgment that the Lord going to bring upon those that take this mark, man. You're going to be melted, into, and I'm going to go to a precept just touching on that, because this is what's going to happen. Zechariah 14 and 12, because that's what those thermonuclear missiles are going to do once they touch down over here to this place where people have received the mark. They're going to melt, you know. And it says, and this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Right? That's going into you Edomites over here, you heathens, you 2/3, all of you people, man. You people going to die when the Lord sends these missiles over here, man. And the laser beams of the chariots shoot down upon this place if you're not delivered before that 7th trump comes, which is ultimately those nukes hidden in this place, right? You want to be beamed up in the chariots, right? Lord's will we be able to elect. We can escape this judgment, of course, but this is what's going to come. And they said their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. And the only thing that can do that is ultimately the laser beams of the chariots and the intensity and the fire that's coming off of those nuclear missiles, man, once they touch down to this place, America, man, right? And that's what's going to happen during the Third World War. So you see, that's what everything is building up towards. That's why you see Esau getting ready to bring in this chip, because, you know, ultimately it has to happen. It's a part of prophecy, right? So I'm going to get back into this video so we can finish listening to what it is, you know, the chick is saying or whatnot. You know, but that chip coming, man, you know, and it's going to be a price to pay for, you know, those people who ultimately take it.
Get it, and if we don't get it, our children will have it for sure. He was basically saying everyone is about to have this Neuralink planet right next to their brain. He then went to say he can now move objects with his ass. He don't have to touch them. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the same man that was on here a couple years ago getting tested because his skin was turning like a reptile, something like that. I don't know what's going on, but what I do know, this is not of God. Once you get that Neuralink chip planted next to your brain, you are now coming into agreement with some type of folk.
Right. And we basically heard what it is she was saying. You know, she basically said that, you know, if you take the chip, you're basically, you know, pledging your allegiance to Esau Edom, the so-called white man, man. You basically, you know, not allowing the Lord to ultimately to rule over you and control you. You basically gave up your freedom to the system, which is this damn devil, man. And you're going to be under his authority right along to those nukes come and destroy you from the Lord. So, you know, that's what's going to be the judgment of people that take that chip, man, which is, you know, thermonuclear destruction. And also, like I said earlier, you know, we see ultimately this chip getting ready to come in. You know, they're getting ready to implement this thing. You know, it's only a matter of time before it hits the streets, man. Like I said, you already got certain people in other countries. They're already receiving brain chips. They're already receiving, you know, RFID C-HIPs inside of their hands, you know, and they're walking around scanning things, buying stuff, paying for gas, etc. This is happening in other countries, but soon to come is going to be worldwide, and it's going to be mandated, and it's going to be forced upon everybody, man, you know, and that's what's coming, man, you know. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I had to say with today's video, you know, just a quick hit, you know, touching on the MOTB C-HIP, but yeah, man, that thing coming, you know. And everybody is starting to see it. Even people that are not even in the truth are seeing that, you know, that charagma is coming, man. You know, it's a part of prophecy, man. And it's going to happen, you know, no matter if people don't believe it or not. You know, that's going to be the new leading currency in this place, America, man. The dollar is getting ready to be done away with. That's why you just seen Donald Trump come out of the woodwork saying that he's telling the people to stop making pennies. Then he already went to this cryptocurrency function, I believe, maybe 2 months ago. And he said that America is going to be the leading country in CBDC, right, which is central bank digital currency. You know, that all goes together, tying into the Bitcoin and all of that different type of stuff. And that's why you see them ultimately pushing for this digital society, man, these 15-minute cities and all of these things that they're doing, because they're about to bring this chip, man. You know, and like I said before, you won't be able to function inside of this society unless you have that chip. And that's what's coming, man. That's why it's called the hour of temptation in the Bible. You know, because a lot of people are going to be tempted in that day to take it because of ultimately them wanting to be a part of this society, you know, not wanting to let the world go, wanting to continue to, you know, enjoy the luxury that they have somewhat now. So that's going to make a lot of these people conform to this system, man. But we know the Lord's elect are not going to take that mark, and the Lord is going to protect them from taking that mark, right? And I'm going to get this precept, Revelation chapter 3, verse 10. Bear with me. And it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, right? And we know this is only talking about the Lord's elect, because he's only going to protect them in these times. 2/3 of his people he's not going to protect. These heathens are not going to be protected. Everybody that's not of this remnant, they're going to be given over unto this device, man. They're ultimately going to either take it or something. But, the Lord going to put the spirit on them to take it, because they're not of his elect. Because as it tells you in Job chapter 12, verse 16, with him is strength, the deceived and the deceiver are his. So even those people that will take this mark, the Lord is putting the spirit on them to take it so that they can ultimately be destroyed, man. And it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation. That's talking about when this MOTB is going to be made mandatory, right? Which shall come upon all the world, meaning everybody, man. It don't matter who you is, who you think you are, whatever the case may be. It's going to come upon you too, to try them that dwell upon the earth, right? To try means to test. And everybody is going to fail this test other than those that have been predestined to ultimately pass this test, that have been chosen by Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, meaning the elect. They're the only ones that's not going to take this chip. Lord's will, we be at that number. But everybody else going to take it, man. And they're going to die, So, that's pretty much everything I had to say with today's video. Just something quick through the spirit. Lord's willing to be edifying. To the next time, I'm going to say shalom to the elect.